All right, guys. All right, so we're to the final video in this series. So just to recap, the purpose of this series was to show you how to properly trim a kit for a vehicle that has gaskets either on the A-pillar or any of the edges that prevent you from reaching the edge of the glass. And just to recap why that's important is when we make these kits, we make them on uninstalled pieces of glass, all right? So that means when we make a kit, this is a 2018 BMW M3, we use an OEM piece of glass for this vehicle that is edge to edge, and we cut the film edge to edge. So when there's gaskets either on the A-pillar or on the bottom or maybe even on the top sometimes that prevent you from reaching the edge of the glass, you're gonna have to trim the kit to make sure the kit fits and lays down properly. So in the past two videos of this series, or past two or three, we identified what to look out for just to identify where the gaskets might be. On this specific vehicle, this is a 2018 BMW M3, we had gaskets on the A-pillar, both A-pillar, driver's side and passenger side, as well as a gasket cowling on the bottom that prevent us from reaching the edge of the glass, okay? We were able to remove easily the gaskets on the driver's side and the passenger side, but you can't really remove the gasket cowling on the bottom very easily, all right? So all we had to do is we had to make a simple trim on the bottom and then we were good to go. But just to recap, in some of the other videos, we also did show you how you're gonna trim a vehicle that has A-pillar gaskets that you can't remove. The specific vehicles that we cited in those videos was C8, C7, C6 Corvettes. They have A-pillar gaskets that are difficult to remove, so you'll have to trim the A-pillars. Whereas on this specific vehicle, all we had to do was remove the gaskets to be able to get access to the edge of the glass. So the whole name of the game is, if you're installing a kit on a vehicle where you have access to the edge of the glass, there is no trimming, all right? If your specific vehicle has any gaskets or cowling that prevent you from reaching the edge of the glass, you will have to do some trimming. And just to recap, on this vehicle, all we had to do was trim on the bottom. All right, so what we're gonna show you now is we're gonna do the final wet check just to show you that this kit does indeed fit. We're gonna go from the wet check to our final clean. We're gonna remove the liner and then we're gonna install this kit, all right? So I'm spraying down this windshield with our slip solution, Johnson baby shampoo and water. As you can see, it's a pretty kind of high soap to water ratio. All right, we're gonna be rolling this kit out over the glass, liner side down. You know the liner is still on because you can see this white sticker right here, all right? So we're gonna align the film so it's lined up edge to edge. All right, so as you can see, this film fits this glass. There are no fingers. This is what the beauty of a kit is, okay? If you were to lay down a piece of bulk film on this glass, you would have massive fingers requiring shrinking. So that's the beauty of the kit. The kit comes, you don't have to do any shrinking. Now, for some vehicles, as we covered, there are some gaskets and cowlings that require trimming, but no heat shrinking, okay? So once we did the trimming on the bottom, this kit laid down flush and it's absolutely fit to this vehicle. Just what you're looking for as you kind of disperse the stress or kind of stretch the film over the glass is you're just looking generally that the film is laying down on the glass, that there are no large fingers. And as we can see here, there are no large fingers. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna roll up this film and then we're going to do our final clean, squeegee, and then we're gonna install it, all right? So my partner here, he's gonna spray down the glass. He's gonna scrub down his side. As he scrubs down, I'm just gonna kind of show you the tools that we're using. Now, this specific video series is not, the purpose is not to show you in depth the whole entire installation process. We filmed that in some other videos that are hosted on our YouTube channel. But I'll just go over some of the tools real quick. All right, so I have a yellow flat out blade, orange crusher blade, and then two ClearPlex blades. The yellow flat out blade is a stiffer blade that we're gonna use for our first several passes. That way we can drive moisture out without having to put too much force into the film. Then the next subsequent passes, we're gonna either use our orange crush or our ClearPlex blade. Those are softer blades, so when you're really pushing into the film, you use a softer blade that has less of a chance of possibly swirling the film, okay? right? So we're working with a little bit of sense of urgency here, because from this point on, dust can collect on the glass and obviously get trapped underneath the film in the glass. So once you do this final clean, it's essential to kind of move with a sense of urgency. All right, so the way that we're going to remove the liner, come over here, is, so my partner's gonna hold this up, liner side facing me. We are going to get our fingers wet. Now, if you're comfortable doing a reverse roll, you can do that, but I like using 2 people, all right? So we spray down our fingers in order to not get our fingerprints on the film. So as I pull down, my partner's gonna pull up, give kind of reverse force. All right. Pulling this liner down. Make sure when you pull this liner off that you get this out of the way from where you're going to be moving, because this liner is very, very, very slippery, all right? So my partner's holding the passenger side, and that's generally how you want to do it. Whatever side he's actually going to lay down, he should be holding. He or she should be holding. I'm going to grab the driver's side. Make sure absolutely that the film doesn't fold in on itself. One other thing that I want to point out is we removed the wipers on this vehicle. Sometimes that's required. Specifically on this vehicle, it is required. Some vehicles it's not, so just wanted to point that out. All right, so just as my partner started to do, you're pushing out all of the stress with your hands before I'm gonna hit it with a squeegee, okay? Getting this film aligned.
My way just a little bit.
Okay. Good?
That's good.
All right, so you don't want to push through large areas of stress with your squeegee. You want the film generally laying down on the glass. And as you can see, we have been sort of reorienting this film this whole time. That's why it's really essential that when you make your slip solution, it's a higher soap to water ratio. That way, if the film isn't exactly aligned the first time you lay it down, instead of having to pick it up and then, realign it that way, you can just shift it left and right, okay? All right, so what, hand me,
No.
okay, so we're always gonna keep the surface of the film wet. My partner's gonna just hold his side just to make sure the film doesn't shift. And my first pass, I'm not gonna use too much force. I'm just gonna take it to the A-pillar. Then what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna do equal and opposite passes. One up, one down. One up, one down. And this whole time, I'm just gonna kind of be looking at the edges to make sure that the film isn't shifting up or shifting down. I'm really not putting that much force on the film right now. And that's why I like using a squeegee blade that has a slightly stiffer rating for this first pass, so I don't have to use too much force and I can drive that residual moisture out, all right? Now I'm gonna shift to the other side. My partner's just gonna hold his side, hold that side in place. And again, just nice, easy strokes. Equal and opposite, going top to bottom. All right. The whole name of the game is you want to keep this film aligned with the edges. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift to one of our softer blades.
The small one or the long? Oh.
This is an orange crush. I'm going to use a little bit more force this time, okay? But using the same sort of general purpose, equal and opposite. And where I did most of my strokes in the vertical direction, that last pass, I'm going to do most of my strokes in the horizontal direction. And the purpose of that is you like squeegeeing in a crosshatch pattern, because what that ensures is that you are squeegeeing the film in all different directions to make sure you're pushing water out both horizontally and vertically, and you don't leave water in any specific area. All right. All right, so we're gonna spray down one more time.
Just got 2 fingers over here.
Yep. And as you can see, you might have some side fingers popping up. That's completely fine. For those side fingers, you always want to lay those down with a squeegee. You do not want to lay that down with a hard card, okay? If you lay it down with a hard card, what might happen is you're not going to lay it down evenly, and then you might get moisture trapped in there, or the hard card might actually leave an imprint in the adhesive, especially if you're using a microfiber, okay? All right, so we're pretty much done now. So in total, I like to do at least 4 to 5 passes on each side to ensure that you drive out all the residual moisture. We're not going to cover this in this video series, but the very last step is that you're going to heat seal the edges. All right, so right now, since I had some of these side fingers that were popping up, I'm not going to drive moisture out the side. So that's why, and I'm not going to introduce moisture to the edge. So that's why when I sprayed, I stopped spraying about 6 inches from that edge. Because if I keep introducing moisture to this edge, it's just going to make some of those side fingers pop up. So as you can see now, since I'm not reintroducing moisture to the edge, those side fingers are starting to suck down and lay down. And then one more pass on this side and we're good. And then I'm going to do our last pass on the driver's side, and then we're going to be good to go. So as you can see, the side fingers on the passenger side are not popping back up. Well, there's one that popped back up, and we'll take care of that in a second. But as you can see, when they pop back up, they become smaller and smaller. So it's kind of like a little game of whack-a-mole as you're taking care of these side fingers. But after I take care of this side finger, we'll be good with the squeegeeing, and then we will move to the edge sealing. So this concludes this video series. Again, just to summarize, the purpose of this video series was to show you how to trim a kit for a vehicle that has gaskets on either the top, the side, or the bottom. Gaskets or cowlings, okay? This specific vehicle, this 2018 BMW M3, has side gaskets that could be removed, which we did remove, and has a bottom gasket cowling that cannot be removed. So what we did is we removed the side gaskets, aligned the kit, so the kit was aligned flush with the top and the A-pillars, and then trimmed at the bottom. Once we did that, as we showed you in the wet check earlier in this video, the kit fit, and then we went to install the kit, and as you can see, since we've been squeegeeing this, the film lays down properly. Now the next step, which we're not going to show in this video, we'll cover in our full installation tutorial video, is just heat sealing the edges. So what that's going to take care of is that's going to take care of some of these really small, minute side fingers that are popping up. The heat sealing of the edge is going to suck those fingers down and make sure that they don't pop up. All right, so please, if this is the only video in this series that you've seen, we highly recommend that you watch our entire kit installation tutorial videos. We have one specifically for Teslas, which require a kind of unique installation process, as well as just a general installation tutorial video. So thank you, and